Hi everyone. Today we are going to see about the DNA sequencing, and this is the part of our DNA technology subject. And here, if you see that the importance of sequencing, so if there is a nucleotides, it has to be paired with the same nucleotide. For example, thymine has to pair with the adenine, and cytosine has to pair with the guanine. So this will be process will be repeatedly happening in DNA strand in genome. So why we need to do a sequencing? So so what are the nucleotides which is available within the genome has to be known to the public or the scientists to understand what is happening within the genome. If you know that and you can be able to say, so this is the particular nucleotide has been mutated, and also there is a changes which leads to some kind of diseases. And also we should know the order of nucleotide bases in strand of DNA for sequencing. And so this information which will give us the importance of growth and development. So all this information will be available in the genomic of any cells. And also, if you do DNA sequencing, it is the fundamental to analyze genome and also understand the biological process. And here, if you see the historical timeline, and there we have the Friedrich Mischer. So he was the first scientist who discovers DNA as general form. So not helical, not other things. And if you see the other scientists in 1940, Avery and McLeod and these scientists, they proposed as the genetic material, DNA as a genetic material. And there is another scientist, this is the important thing, like 1953, Watson Crick, they elucidate the double helical structure of DNA. And in 1970, he sequenced lambda's cohesive end in DNA. And if you see in 1977, Sanger, so is the first scientist who started to provide information about the sequence and also develop a method for sequencing. So that is the name called dideoxy chain termination. In 1977, Gilbert, so he proposed a theory and developed a method for sequencing named called chemical degradations. And we have 1986 partial automations and 1990 cycle sequencing, and then improved sequencing enzymes, improved fluorescent detection schemes. So all this were happened in 1990. In 2002, the next generation genome sequencing has been developed. And also there is a sequencing name called 454 pyro sequencing also being developed. So if we see the cost for sequencing, for example, if I want to sequence a single KB, which would be way higher during that time, maybe in 90s and 80s, it was such a huge money you have to keep it to sequence a particular gene. But later stages, the technologies, due to the development in technologies and the price which came down drastically, and then now which becomes very cheaper, even a $1 or $2. So within that you can start to sequence a gene. And here we have sequencing methods, and if you see this nucleotides bases has to be paired appropriately, that is adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosines. And there are like two important methods, and first one is the Sanger 1977, and also Maximum Gilbert also he developed a method in 1977. And Sanger method name called chain termination sequencing method, whereas Maximum and Gilbert their method called chemical sequencing method. And later stage there are a lot of development which happened in this sequencing, and which became very robotic and automated sequencing methods. And here we have Sanger chain termination sequencing. And so this is the one of the PCR based method, and this will modify DNA replication reaction, and also growing chains can be easily terminated by dideoxynucleotides. So here you can able to see that nitrogen bases. So maybe if there is a DNTP, that is dinitro triphosphate, so if it is available, the changes will be happening within that. So here you can able to see that exact grooving stand, how which is happening. So here we have the template stand. So this is the nucleotide. Along with that, there is a sugar molecule. So this is the sugar molecule. Again, you have the phosphate group. So this is the triphosphate. So in next picture, you can able to see that. So after the replication process, so you can easily terminate this addition of grooving stand. So if you stop that, you can able to see the sequencing process. And here we have the Sanger sequencing process. First one, we have to get enough quantity of DNA, and so this DNA has to be made into 4 aliquots, and from there a PCR mixture has to be, that is the master mixture, has to be developed, and then primer, Taq polymerase, template DNA, and DNTPs. And so in DNTPs, you will have adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine-based DNTPs, and then you'll be running a PCR machine and performing gel electrophoresis, and after that you'll be interpreting the results. So this is the typical structure which will be happening within the PCR machine. And if you see here, the nucleotides has been added separately for 4 units, that is the 4 nucleotides. So here you have the primer and template DNA, along with that the phosphate group and hydroxyl group. So this part will be started to add the nucleotides. So here we have the information about how the nucleotides has been added to the growing stand with the addition of enzyme name called DNA polymerase. So this polymerase enzymes which helps the DNA template through the primer. The primer will do addition process, and then this chain will start to end due to the incorporation of DNTPs. And once it is the end, and then the entire length of template will be completed. So after that, the reaction also will get end. So through that, once the entire process is over, after replication, after DNTP additions, the fragments can be collected from the sequencing ladder, and then this will be processed in the electrophoresis. So this electrophoresis, again, the fragments can be placed in the different wells in electrophoresis. Then it will be run, and through that we can go for interpretation. And here we have the Sanger sequence example. So this is the double-strand DNA molecule has been paired equally, and so this sequence will undergo for denaturations. And here we have amplification in DTP, and then again you have ATP and CTP and GTP. So in each respective the nucleotides has been grown, and then which can be terminated simultaneously. So the exact DNTPs which will identify the exact nucleotides which is going to be paired with that molecule. So in that case, so which will be terminated, and the terminated and the amplified and terminated molecule will be taken into separate aliquots, and that molecules will be run it in the electrophoresis gel. And so this is the maximum Gilbert method. In maximum Gilbert method, which was developed during 1976 to 1977, and so this method is based on the nucleobasics specific partial chemical modification of DNA and also the subsequent cleavage of DNA backbone at sites adjacent to the modified nucleotides. And here we have maximum Gilbert sequencing. The process, the following process are considered for doing sequencing method. So here we have labeling of 5' chain DNA and Aliquot's DNA sample in 4 tubes and performing a base modification reaction and perform cleavage reaction and then perform gel electrophoresis, and then you'll be doing audio radiography, and last, whatever you have done so far, you'll be interpreting the results and you'll be coming to know so what are the changes or what are the details which were provided in the genomics has been completely sequenced, and through that you'll be knowing the changes in genomic DNA. And if you see the process, the chemical modification of DNA, so the first step will be the radioactive labeling at 5% of the DNA. And then the purification of DNA fragments to be sequenced, so that will be the next step. And the third one will be doing chemical treatment, which will generate breaks in DNA. And also there will be the next step after generation of breaks, that is the restriction in DNA. After that, you will be running the gel. And here we have chemical modifications of chemical modification and cleavage. And so there is a specific enzyme name called polynucleotide kinase radioactive label. And so this one will be happening at the site of 5' end of DNA. And this radioactive label will be, that is the probe, kind of a probe, that is the P32, and this will be properly attached to the 5' end. At the here, you can able to see that the chemical modification and cleavage, again, the same process will be continued along for the purine and pyrimidine. So for example, the purine molecule will be using dimethyl sulfide, and then if you see the pyrimidine, they will be using some other type of chemical component. And this dimethyl sulfide, the dimethyl will be sulfide will be reacting with the formic acid, and through that there is a changes in the nucleotides. So this cleavage of sugar phosphate backbone using piperidine. So here we have the pyrimidine, and this pyrimidine base modification will be using hydrazine. So this hydrazine will be reacting with the NaCl, and through that the cytosine nucleotide base will be available. And the cleavage in phosphate backbone will be using again same piperidine. And here we have the clear diagrammatic representations and how the process which is happening in that genomic strands. And here we have the double-stranded DNA molecule, and from that the first strand, that is the single-strand DNA molecule, will be isolated, and from that you will be adding your probe radio label, that is P32, to the 5' end, and then from there the cleavage at specific nucleotides. So this will give you idea so how which is happening. Maybe the ACT, if I want to generate for adenine, so in that case, so the adenine molecule also will be identified. Similar case, and for thymine and cytosine, guanine, so all they will be available, and also the reactions or the process will be occurred specifically or respectively. And so once it is done, and then the different sized DNA strand can be obtained from this process. And once we have the different sizes of molecules, so that is the different nucleotides, and from there we'll be running agarose gel electrophoresis, so which will be starting from cathode to anode, and you'll be adding your mixture, and from that the longer DNA molecule will be on top due to the size problem, and whereas the shorter fragments which will be moving very fast towards the anode. And this is the example for maximum Gilbert sequencing. So whatever which happened there, which is detailed pictured here, And here we have the sequence GCTA, GCGTA, and 5' and 3' end. And in 5' end, we'll be adding the phosphate group, sorry, the radio label, and then from there you will be starting your reactions, and you'll be doing GC and AT, and if you have the guanine nucleotides, and this guanine nucleotides has been paired with cleavage site will be the different range. So here you can able to see that GCT, that is the one, and second one you'll be having GCTAC, and third one you'll be doing from GCTACG and T, including that. So again, the A will be at the end. So here you'll be having the A, and whereas the another case only if it is specific to G, the first sequence, the first set of nucleotides alone will be selected or made a cleave. And then if I want to see only C, and I'll be selecting only a C, and rest of the things I'll be avoiding it. And similarly, C plus T also will be doing the same set of reactions. And from there, you can able to see that there are like a 7 ladder sizes, and from there, the sequence has been depicted properly. And so this is the another important thing apart from this two major methods, next generation sequence. And here the principle, the next generation sequencing method is principle is similar to the Sanger sequencing, which is relies upon the capillary electrophoresis. And the genomic DNA strand is fragmented, and the fragmented strand can be easily identified through the emission of fluorescence. So this fluorescent emission, which will tell us the fragment size and the availability of the nucleotides. And again, this next generation sequencing method uses array-based sequencing, which combines with the Sanger sequencing process. And here we have three general steps. The first one, library preparation. The libraries are created using random fragmentation of DNA, ligation with customized linkers. And the second step, amplifications. The library is amplified using clonal amplification methods and PCR. And third one, the third step, that will be the sequencing. DNA is sequenced using one of the several different approaches. So here we have the first step, that is the library preparation. First, the DNA will be fragmented using enzymatic or sonication. So most probably, the enzymatic method will be preferred if you want to fragment. And the second one, the second process, the adapters. So this adapter molecules can be shorter and double-stranded pieces of synthetic DNA are ligated to the fragmented DNA molecule. So this adapter ligations will be happening using of DNA ligase enzymes, and then the adapter enables the sequence to become bound to the complementary to the counterpart. So whatever the adapters has been synthesized and made ligated with the template strand, and so that has to be sticky end. If it is a blend end, so you have to do again addition of adapters, and so this could lead to some kind of potential problem between the molecules and dimer formation. So you should have the sticky in nature of molecules. So to prevent this issue from preventing the blended nature, the DNA is utilizing the ligase and process at 3' OH, that is the hydroxy group, and then phosphate group N. And if you see that there will be like this phosphate molecule at sticky end of adapter, and through that, so once you remove that, and then you can create 5' OH end. Okay, so this will lead to the bridge form, and so this process, instead of like making a bridge form, so the DNA ligase will completely disable that bridge form. And again, if you see here, the picture which clearly indicates us the genomic DNA, how the genomic DNA has been fragmented, and what are the fragments which has happened, and this will be again made with the sticky in nature. So here you can able to see that the OH group has been made, and the phosphate group here has been removed, and through that this OH easily can attach to that 5' end. And again, once it is made, and then the ligation process will be happening, and the ligation process, and then there is a chances to prevent this dimerizations. So once all this process is done, so after that, the DNA fragments need to be spatially clustered in PCR colonies, and these colonies will be again going for multiple copies of that particular library. And after that, those colonies are attached in a planar fashion. And so once it is enabled, and then it is very easy for like making array and also the manipulated enzymatically. And so this method is very faster than the previous labor-intensive procedure of making colony picking and E. coli cloning and all. So this will make us very easy process and also less time consuming. So this is the next step in the next generation sequence with the amplifications. So first one, here we have a library amplifications. So library amplification is required so that received signals from the sequencer is strong enough to detect it accurately. And also the enzymatic application phenomena is known as biosing or duplications. And instead of doing other process, there are like several manipulations or the amplification process which uses the PCR to create large number of DNA cluster at a single time rather than doing with cloning and all. So here we have the emulsion PCR. This emulsion oil and beads PCR mix are mixed together, that is the including library DNA is mixed together to form emulsion, and which lead to the formation of microfills. So here we have the DNA molecules, and DNA molecules along with the emulsion and beads all will be arranged in a planar way, and through that we can go for PCR process. So in order for sequencing process, and each microbill should contain one bead with one strand, and PCR then which denatures library DNA fragments, which lead into the two strand with the another one is the reverse strand. And so this annealed DNA, this is amplified by using polymerase enzymes from bead towards the primer site. And here also we have the original reverse strand, then this will be denatured and released from the bead, and again which will be re-annealed to the bead to give separate strand. So both amplified will give us a two double-stranded DNA, that is the two DNA strand to the bead, and this process will be repeated over 30 to 60 cycles. So you'll be getting from single strand to the double strand, and so this double strand molecules will be attached to the beads. And so this technique has been criticized for its time consuming, and also there are like several steps which involved in making this process. And also it is relatively inefficient, since only 2/3 of emulsion microreactors will actually contain one bead. There is a problem with the binding of beads to the DNA molecule. So there is a one more step which is needed to make it efficient, and also this leads to some kind of more potential inaccuracy due to its insufficient to the binding to the DNA molecules. And here you can able to see that DNA fragments and primers are attached to that particular cell surface, and then the ends are attached to the surface by complementary primers, and the enzymes will be created double strand. So which we have seen last part, and again that will be denatured, and this denatured again will be attached to that same molecule. Again, the repetition process will be happening, and replication will be happening. And here we have the bridge PCR. So this bridge PCR, the surface of flow cell is densely coated with the primers, and then the complementary to the primers are attached to the DNA library fragments. And DNA is then attached to the surface of cell at random, where it exposed to the reagents for polymerase-based extension. And also there is the addition of nucleotides and the enzymes. So this will enable us single strand of DNA attached to themselves to the surface via complementary primers. The enzymes interact with the bridge, makes the double stranded, and then it will do denaturation process. So this denaturation, which will give us two single stranded DNA fragments, again this will be attached to the same surface area. So this process will be repeated several times to gain the large quantity of DNA molecules. And then, so here we have the important sequencing methods in next generation sequencing by different companies. They have developed and different sequencing method. And also this is the list which will tell us very limited number, and recently they have developed different methods, and also the innovative technological based automated based methods of sequencing. And the first one we have the 4-5 sequencing, and second one we have ion torrent semiconductor sequencing, and third one sequencing by ligation, that is the solid, and fourth one reversible terminator sequencing, that is the Illumina. So under that you'll be having 3 blocked reversible terminator and 3 unblocked reversible terminator. So the first one, here we have 454 pyrosequencing. This pyrosequencing, which is based on the sequencing by synthesis. And this process will be happening in the presence of polymerase enzymes. So in contrast to, so this process, which will be contrast to using dideoxynucleotides in Sanger sequence instead of detecting pyrophosphate. So here, this picture, which clearly indicates the template strand, and the DNTP is added, and pyrophosphate ion, which is released from the addition of complementary bases, and then the ATP sulfurylase adenosine will be added along with the ATP, so which will give us luciferin and oxyloluciferin. So this will give us light emission, and through that we can easily identify the sequence. So here we have the process, the step-by process have been given. It initially uses emulsion PCR technique to construct the colonies, which is required for sequencing and removing complementary strand. And next step, the single strand DNA sequencing, so which will be hybridized with the strand, that is the template strand, along with the primer, and then you will be doing when the correct DNTP is enzymatically incorporated into the strand, and it causes the releases of pyrophosphate group. Once the presence of ATP and the sulfurylase adenosine, which is present, and so this pyrophosphate will be converted into ATP, and then through this the ATP molecule, whatever which is released, will be used for luciferase catalyzed conversion. So this luciferase catalyzed reaction conversion, which leads to the production of light. So this light energy, so the intensity of light will be proportional to the amount of bases, nucleotide bases, has been added to the template strand. And here we have the pyrosequencing developed by 454 Life Science. So which was one of the successive sequencing method in the earlier stages, and in later stage, so they made it for commercial purpose during 90s and 2000, and even in later stages they stopped this 454 pyrosequencing. Okay. So and then this pyrosequencing has been developed by Roche company, and then they discontinued. So later stage they discontinued this method. And so this is the ion torrent semiconductor sequencing. And in ion torrent sequencing, so which uses sequencing by synthesis. And here we have the new DNA strand that is the complementary to the target DNA will be synthesized at one base at a time. And semiconductor chip which detects hydrogen ions produced during DNA polymerization. And here you can able to see that the DNTPs are added at template strand, that is complementary strand. So during that, the chip which will identify the released hydrogen ions from complementary bases. And the multiple addition of same nucleotides gives more intensive signal, that is more release of hydrogen ions. Due to that, we can easily identify by through pH sensor. And here we have the steps. The following colony formation using emulsion PCR. Again, DNA library fragment is flooded with sequentially nucleotide triphosphate, that is DNTP, as in a pyrosequencing. And then this DNTPs will be incorporated into a new strand, that is the template strand complementary. And then each time the nucleotide is successfully added to the template complementary, the hydrogen ions will be released. So once this hydrogen ion is released, and then the pH sensor will detect it, and then which will tell us how much hydrogen, the nucleotides has been added to the template strand. And so this was made into commercial purpose by using, but not using the fluorescence which we saw it in the last one, that is the 454 pyrosequencing. And this method is very cheaper and faster than many other methods. So this is the third one, sequencing by ligations. So this third one, solid is an enzymatic method of sequencing which uses DNA ligase. So again, here also we are using the same thing, emulsion PCR, which will be used to immobilize and amplify the single strand DNA primer, which is going to bind with the target sequence. And those beads again then deposited on the glass surface, and this bead deposition occurred and primer length will be hybridized to the adapter to the template DNA strand, and then this fluorescent dyes at specific site, that is pi dash end, and also hydroxyl group at 3' end. So base 1 and base 2 are the complementary to the nucleotides, which is going to be sequenced whilst bases 3 to 4, 5 are degenerated. Again, if you see the bases 6, 8 are ionosine bases. So only the complementary probe will be hybridized to the target sequence, which is going to be adjacent to the primer. And here we have some more information about the solid. The process, the DNA ligase is then uses to join 8-mer probe to the primer. Again, this phosphorothioate linkage between the bases 5 to 6, which allows fluorescent dye to cleave at a fragment using silver ions. So this cleavage allows fluorescence to be measured differently based on the nucleotide intensities. Maybe the 4 respective nucleotides will generate different fluorescence emissions, and through that the generations at pi dash phosphate group. So this again, this pi dash phosphate group which will undergo further ligation, and once, so this is the entire process will be one round of sequencing. Again, the next set, the same product will be melted up, and again the second round of processing will be happening. Again, addition of primer, again same DNA ligase, again same emissions will be happening consecutively. And so if you see this solid method, which is very effective sequencing method than the other two, which we seen it last. Okay, so the accuracy would be around 99.99% accuracy, but this is the very useful, and also it is very inexpensive method. And so this method has one more advantage. Within a single run, that is the 7 days, it can able to produce about a 30 GB of data. Unfortunately, the main disadvantage would be the reading length, which is very shorter when you are comparing with the other methods. And here we have the diagrammatic representations and the primers and the adapters and bead and target sequencing. So all this aligned properly. Again, the probes are added exactly to the complementary DNA strand, and then the probes and ligase mechanism will be added, and then the emissions will be happening. And after that, so once emission is over, and then again the process will be redoing again and again until the 30 cycles or 40 cycles we needed the expectations. So here we can have the primer length 1, 2, 3, and simultaneously up to 30 cycles, which will be in 30. This is the fourth one, reversible terminator sequencing. The other name will be call it as the Illumina. The reversible terminator sequencing differs from the traditional Sanger method. Instead of terminating primer, which is extensively irreversible using deoxynucleotide. And while the many other techniques uses emulsion PCR to amplify DNA library fragments, the reversible termination uses bridge PCR rather than using emulsion PCR. So here we have two types. One is the 3-O blocked reversible terminators. Another one is the 3- unblocked reversible terminators. The first thing, the mechanism which is uses sequencing by synthesis approaches. So the primers will be elongated stepwise process. And again, the first thing will be the sequencing of primers, and templates are fixed on the solid support. Once these two are attached each other, and then different fluorophore will be added at 3- end. And here you can able to see that the fluorophore will be attached easily. Again, you have the correct bases will be annealed to the target, that is the appropriate bases or respective bases will be added respectively. And then the solid support is then imaged, and nucleotides that have not been incorporated are washed away. The fluorescent branch is cleaved using TCEP, that is the trust-2 carboxyethyl phosphine, and through that, so this TCEB also removes 3-azidomethyl group, which is going to be regenerating, and cycle will be repeated again and again. So here we have the exact picture. The primers are extended by one. Again, the excessive nucleotides are washed away. The fluorophore branches are removed. That is, the extra branches will be removed completely. Again, you have more nucleotides added one by one, and the excessive nucleotides again similar way which will be washed away. Again, the fluorophore also will be washed away. So this is the 3- unblocked reversible terminator. So here, the reversible terminator termination group of 3- unblocked reversible terminator is linked to both base and fluorescence group. So this method differs from 3-O blocked reversible terminator method. And so in first, there are like three major things. And the first thing will be the 3- position is not blocked. And then the fluorophore, which will be added for all 4 bases, and each bases will be modified sequentially. So the major disadvantage of this technique is lies with the poor reading length. The reading length will be very poor, and noise also can be created due to the fluorophore. And those problems are prevalent in other sequencing method, the main limiting factors to read length. And so this technique was pioneered developed by the Illumina, which is the high sequencing or MI sequencing platform, again, which is the cheapest of second generation sequencing, which which is less than $1, that is the 0.02 per million bases. And also it can able to produce 600 GB per turn, that is the per run within 6 days. So thank you all. Thank you for listening.